Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Monday's edition of the DCEU Daily. Any movie franchise, any television series is no different to any other business. First and foremost, you need something that people want to consume. Something they like the taste of. People have been consuming Coca-Cola for over 100 years because they like the taste. People keep on coming back to consume the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they like the taste. For example, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness had a huge opening, which is holding it in good stead because people like the taste of that franchise. Now, when they consumed the latest taste, they didn't like it so much, so it had a huge drop-off, but that doesn't affect the franchise. Now, that's power that you can't buy within your marketing. The reputation of the MCU is something people want to keep on consuming the next chapter. There may be a chapter they don't like so much, but they'll keep on coming back for more. People consumed Smallville for 10 seasons because they liked the taste. So the DC Extended Universe needs to create something along those lines. It needs to be something that people want to taste. So right now, the DC Extended Universe isn't something en masse that people want to taste. Who gets excited for the DC Extended Universe right now? A few DC fanboys and girls. That's it. That's the truth. It doesn't have the excitement or the trends of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You may not like hearing that, but these are the facts. So on today's DCEU Daily, I'm going to put myself in the place of David Zaslav a few weeks ago when he and Discovery took over the Warner Brothers company, when he came in and evaluated the DC Extended Universe. The DC Extended Universe has two portions to it. It has the Snyderverse and it has the Hamadaverse. So right now, first, we're going to be David Zaslav and examine the Hamadaverse. The Hamadaverse starts with Aquaman, $1 billion movie. Isn't Walter Hamada a genius? Not really. Had very little to do with that movie. That movie, let's be clear about this, is amazing because of James Wan and Zack Snyder's VFX team. In fact, one of the writers of the story of Aquaman is also one of the co-writers of the story of the Snyder Cut. So that's something else that Zack had in place. Zack had a lot of people in place for Aquaman. So although it was James Wan's movie and it looks tremendous and it's colourful and bright, that's what Walter Hamada would have wanted because of the criticism of Zack's franchise having darker narratives, darker colour palettes, so it went bright on purpose. So the quality of the look of the movie is down to James Wan. But don't forget, most of that cast was cast by Zack Snyder. So even though Walter Hamada is a producer on that movie, he can get very little credit for that movie. It deserves its $1 billion take home. So then we go to Shazam, which made just under 400 million. Children and families adore that movie. It was a success because it only cost under 100 million to make. You can give credit to Walter Hamada for that. He put that movie together. David F. Sandberg directed a solid, not a great movie, but a very solid movie, in my opinion. Then we go to Birds of Prey, which is an absolute disaster of a movie. It's okay in places. This movie, though, has very little to do with Walter Hamada. Toby Emmerich just said to Margot Robbie, yes, your Lucky Chap production company can lead the narrative of this film. Choose the director, choose who makes it, choose the story you want to tell. So Margot chose Kathy Yan to direct it, a woman who doesn't even know how to direct action. In fact, when Walter Hamada saw the first finished kind of article of Birds of Prey, the action was so terrible that they brought the John Wick director to do some action choreography. Now, it still wasn't great because Chad didn't have enough time to perfect it. So ultimately, just imagine how bad the action was before Chad got involved. That movie was a flop at the box office. Then there's Wonder Woman 84. Again, there was no Zack Snyder here. Patty Jenkins got rid of Zack's team and wrote a movie with Jeff Johns. And it was a very, very bad movie with more plot holes than Delilah's Bucket. So a terrible movie. And we all started saying, how did the woman who directed the first Wonder Woman do this one? Because Patty Jenkins had very little to do with Zack Snyder's Wonder Woman movie in 2017, and we'll get to that shortly. So then they brought in James Gunn to make a Suicide Squad movie. This is a really, really good movie. Not one of my favourites, but I think it's a really, really good movie. The cinematography is excellent. The storytelling is sharp. It works. But this movie is also a flop in the movie theatre. Wonder Woman 84 didn't do so well in the movie theatre, but that was released in the peak of the pandemic. Now, James Gunn's Suicide Squad was released in one of the forms of the pandemic, but nowhere near as bad as when Wonder Woman 84 was released. So you've got a lot of movies who haven't done well in the movie theatre that may have done well on HBO Max. Wonder Woman 84 and James Gunn's The Suicide Squad did do well on the streaming medium, but they weren't made to do well on the streaming medium. So let's not judge them totally cinematically, because they were released at a time when people weren't going to cinemas. But you can say that James Gunn made a really, really good movie. Patty Jenkins and Cathy Yan made a couple of crap movies. Aquaman is great, and Shazam is solid. But where's the branding? Where's the brand loyalty? You know, when Aquaman was coming out, we were just hopeful that people would go and see it. When an MCU movie comes out, there's no hope. There's an expectation that people will go and see it. So if you're David Zaslav and you look at this Walter Hamada era of the DCEU, well, what do you think? Well, there's a double-pronged thing here, because you're going to look at his multiverse strategy idea. Because these movies are just there while he develops something else, a multiverse. His plan was to make a Flash movie that I've seen, that basically reboots the entire of the DC Extended Universe and creates a brand new timeline. Good idea. Interesting timeline. It would be interesting to find out what people think about this. It'll be interesting if you ever get to see it. I have my doubts you'll ever see this Flash movie in its form. So anyway, David Zaslav takes a look at the plans for The Flash, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, Black Adam, Batgirl, all of these movies, right? So altogether, there's 5 upcoming DC movies. That's the plan. These are the movies that have to work. So he's taken a look at the plan. Then he finds out there's issues with Ezra Miller. Meltdowns while they were making the film. He was arrested twice in Hawaii, which we already know about. So David Zaslav knows there's a problem with Walter Hamada. He knows the issues with Toby Emmerich, but he understands that Toby Emmerich isn't all bad. He's not. In terms of his leadership during the DCEU, from the moment he, arrived in 2017, it's not been good. But he's the one who commissioned the Elvis Presley biopic we'll be seeing shortly, which is going to be an excellent movie. He has made some good decisions out there, so we can't just jettison him. He has contacts in the industry, and Zaslav knows this, but he has to neuter his power over at the DCEU, and that's exactly what he's going to do. But wait, there's another movie in the Walter Hamada era of the DCEU we haven't discussed. That's Joss Whedon's Justice League, because secretly Walter Hamada was there at the time, but no one's ever going to say it. Even Zack Snyder hasn't made that claim, but guess who did make that claim? Yes, Ray Fisher made that claim. And I didn't agree with it at the time, but when I've done my research, this is absolutely spot on. So you can give Justice League to the Hamadaverse. A horrible, rushed, rewritten, redirected movie that had infighting among the staff, because Joss Whedon had agreed to do something so hideous and so ill-conceived he didn't have enough time to perfect it. Joss Whedon is a talented man, maybe not a nice man, but he gave us Buffy and Angel and other things, and the first 2 Avengers movies, which were great as far as I'm concerned. Yes, I like Age of Ultron as well. And if you allow Joss Whedon to make his own Justice League movie, co-written by Jeff Johns, I think it would have been great. So you can put Justice League in the Hamada camp. Now, David Zaslav looks at the Snyderverse. So first, he looks at Man of Steel. So he goes, right, this film definitely didn't make enough money, but it's solid box office. He looks at the movie and he says, well, we've got a great Superman. This is a very original, unique story. Yeah, Killing Zod's a bit controversial, but wow, the movie's beautiful. It's amazing. It's a very modern day take on Superman. It's not apple pie, it's not Christopher Reeve, but it's a very modern take. Maybe they could have balanced it out a bit to be a bit Chris Reeve and a bit modern day, but they didn't. So Man of Steel is a really, really good movie, and Henry Cavill is a great modern day Superman. Then we go to Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice. Whatever the politics, whatever decision it was to make a Batman and Superman movie for the second movie, it's there. Batman vs Superman as well is a very uniquely, beautifully made DC Extended Universe movie. It doesn't make the money it should have made, and David Zaslav would agree with that as well. But he looks deeper at the movie, and actually I can tell you that David Zaslav loves Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice. So although it didn't make enough money, it made just under 900 million. And that isn't a paltry amount of money. Now, Batman vs Superman was very expensive to make. It made a slight profit, but it's not a bad movie. Just because if you don't like it, doesn't mean it's a bad movie. But it's a controversial movie. It has its issues, but David Zaslav likes that movie. And there's a plan here going forward. So then we get the Suicide Squad movie. Not the Suicide Squad movie, we get Suicide Squad movie. Supposedly directed by David Ayer, but this movie isn't David Ayer's movie. This is a movie rewritten by Jeff Johns, where David Ayer is forced to direct it. With a lot of rock music in it. There was no radio music in it originally. David had a composer with lots of music in it originally. A very different dark take, dark look at the Suicide Squad. But this version, edited by a music video company, actually nearly brings home 800 million. People don't like Jared Leto's Joker, but they love, you know, Margot's Harley Quinn and Jared's Joker having scenes together, because we've never seen that in live action. Will Smith's Death Shot is loaded and quite right too. It has a great cast. I actually like this film, so it's made good money. So David Zaslav understands the situation, that this isn't David Ayer's or Zack Snyder's fault. The studio interfered. Then we have the first Wonder Woman, which is one of the best comic book movies of all time. David Zaslav can see it's brought home 800 million. So we then have Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut, and I can tell you for the first time, and I've never told you this on my channel, this movie brought home $30 million in home media. I'm talking about digital, not rental, but purchase and physical copies. Altogether, it brought home 30 million. Mick, is that a lot of money? Yes, for home media, that's a hell of a lot of money. So all of a sudden, David Zaslav looks at the Hamadaverse and compares it to the Snyderverse in quality and financial gain and branding, brand recognition and brand loyalty. And it's clear to David Zaslav, as it should be to you and me, what needs to be kept and what needs to go away. The Hamadaverse is not fit for purpose. It's a fucking disaster. Zack Snyder's Snyderverse actually has brand recognition, brand loyalty. It has a fandom that treats its director like a rock star, and it works. It has a vision. It has an identity. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, but Zaslav's thinking this thing at least needs to be completed. Now, the decision Zaslav has to make once he's decided to do away with the Hamadaverse, which I believe he will, and keep the Snyderverse, he has to make the decision. Do I allow Snyder to model a mainstream franchise, or do I dump him on HBO Max and let him do his thing? That's fine. Snyder and his fans will still be happy about that. That's the decision he has to make. So, as David Zaslav, I sit back and I'm very, very happy. I'm not happy with the Hamadaverse. It's a joke. I'm not happy with what was done to Zack Snyder. And I think to myself, what would have happened if they allowed Zack Snyder to continue with his vision? Something very, very special. Because by the time we get to Justice League 3, we have the Superman we've been reading for years, but he's had this journey. He's gone on this hero's journey, and now people understand. And it's not as divisive as it once was. And people have come to the table. Yes, as David Zaslav, I understand that Zack Snyder is a great director who's not for everyone, but can bring money, brand loyalty, and brand recognition to this franchise. So me being David Zaslav for this moment, damn, I wish I had his cash. I'm thinking, yeah, Snyder is the man. I'm keeping Snyder. Hamada, I'm sending back to New Line Cinema to work on the horror division. Hamada's a good man, but he should never have been put in charge of this franchise. Snyder should have remained and at least finished his arc. And if people liked what he did in his first phase, we could have kept him. That's where Zaslav is right now. So now we go to Wednesday with this evaluation of the Snyderverse and the DC Extended Universe as a whole. Now we have to discuss what decisions will be made on Wednesday. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what's going to happen on Wednesday. Either absolutely jack shit, or on Wednesday, we're going to hit the jackpot. So this is how Wednesday will work. I will record a pre-recorded edition of the DCEU Daily, building up to Warner Brothers Discoveries up front. And as soon as we get any news, I will record a reaction video. Wednesday could be the day DC live action changes forever. This has been the DCEU Daily with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives, please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you again in the next video. Until we see each other again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.